Part 291. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2901. Chapter 2901. I am sincere to you. You won't have the chance to linger with me and Mian. You said it yourself. She is a person favored by God, so your curse will have no effect on her. Not only will she live a happy life, but she will also be safe and smooth throughout her life. I will protect her from peace for the rest of her life. Also, there has never been any competition between me and you. All competition is between people of equal strength to yourself. And you are not qualified to compete with her. I have seen many women like you. Even without me, you will never be satisfied with the status quo and always like to compare with others. Your tragedy has nothing to do with me, it is all caused by your own greed and vanity. Seeing Mo Yesi come forward to defend Xiao Mian, Xiao Angzhen seemed to be suddenly stimulated by something, her chest heaved violently, her eyes widened, and she looked at Mo Yesi full of resentment and unwillingness. Mo Yesi, you don't know what kind of person this woman is. Xiao Mian and I grew up together. I know her better than you do. Don't be fooled by her. Do you think she really likes you? She just likes your position of power. What she likes is the position of the young lady of the Mo family. She likes your status as the second young master of the Mo family and the president of the Mo family. She is not that at all. I like you as a person. She is a vain woman. She doesn't really like you. She was able to be with you not long after she broke up with Suzy Gong, because you are Mo Yesi, and because you can make her fly up a branch and become a phoenix. I am sincere to you. Xiao Angzhen's eyes were red, and she stretched out her hand to grab Mo Yesi's sleeve, but there was no strength in her hand at all, and the hand she just raised fell down weakly. She recalled the various scenes when she first met Mo Yesi, her eyes became blurred, and the expression on her face became obsessed. She said infatuatedly, "The first time I saw you, I fell deeply in love with you. I'm in love with you. It was you who made me know what the feeling of heartbeat is. After falling in love with you, I can no longer tolerate other people in my eyes. I really like you, and I dream about you every night. I have never been so like someone." Xiao Mian knew what Xiao Angzhen thought about Mo Yesi. But when she heard Xiao Angzhen say these words so straightforwardly, and in such a disgusting and explicit way, she couldn't help but frown. Father Xiao's face on the side was already extremely ugly. He didn't expect that his daughter, who he thought was not a bad person, would be so evil-minded. Not only vicious, but also shameless. Even her own sister's husband is coveted. You are not ashamed to say such explicit words. At this moment, Father Xiao regretted that he should not have called Xiao Mian. Had he known that things would be like this after meeting, he would definitely not let Xiao Mian come here. Mo Yesi frowned even more, with deep disgust in his eyes. He looked coldly at Xiao Angzhen, who was lying on the hospital bed with a look of obsession on his face, and there was undisguised disgust in his cold voice. "You fell in love with me the first time you saw me. Why did you fall in love with me?" Xiao Angzhen immediately said excitedly, "Of course I love you as a person, Mo Yesi, I am sincere to you." "Who am I? If I wasn't the president of the Mo group, would you still fall in love with me? You just took a fancy to my status. When you snatched Suzy from Mian, I'm afraid Suzy did the same at that time. Your true love. But if you meet a man who is more useful to you than Suzy, your love will soon change." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2902. Chapter 2902. I wish she was a vain woman. Xiao Angzhen, your sincerity is worthless. Xiao Angzhen was stunned. When she raised her head to meet Mo Yesi's eyes full of disgust, she felt as if all her thoughts had been read through by the man in front of her. In front of him, all the calculations in her heart were also clearly seen. Chew, there is nowhere to hide. This feeling was like being stripped off in public, which made her feel angry and humiliated. She suddenly became angry. My sincerity is worthless, and what about Xiao Mian? Even if I am interested in your status, do you think Xiao Mian is not like this? I am greedy for vanity, but Xiao Mian is not greedy. Are you vain? She is not vain. She married you not long after she got to know you. If it weren't for your status, do you think she would like you? Hearing her talk about Xiao Mian, Mo Yesi turned his head and glanced at Xiao Mian. The man's cold eyes when he just faced Xiao Angzan instantly felt a little warm, and the corners of his lips were slightly raised. She said in a doting and gentle tone, I wish she was a vain woman. If she fell in love with me and married me because of my status, then I would be relieved. You, what did you say? On the hospital bed, Xiao Angzan's pale face showed a look of astonishment. She wondered if she had heard wrongly. Mo Yesi stretched out his hand to trim Xiao Mian's hair, and whispered softly, if she likes my status, as long as the Mo family survives, and as long as I continue to be the president of the Mo family, she will not leave me. So I hope she is a vain woman, so that I won't worry about her leaving me. Xiao Mian. Mr. Mo, are you sure that if you say this, Xiao Angzan won't be immediately mad at you? Anyway, if she were Xiao Angzan, she would definitely be so angry that she would vomit blood and die on the spot. You actually, are you crazy? Xiao Angzan's eyes widened with an expression of disbelief, and the look in Mo Yesi's eyes was also full of disbelief. In her opinion, Mo Yesi was lost. Otherwise, how could he say such a thing? Crazy, he must be crazy. Mo Yesi held Xiao Mian in his arms and turned his head. When his eyes fell on Xiao Angzan's pale face that was already exuding death, the warmth in his eyes instantly faded. You framed Mian behind her back time and time again. I wanted to teach you a lesson. But now that you have suffered the consequences, you don't need me to do anything anymore. After finishing speaking, Mo Yesi didn't look at her again. He turned his head and whispered to Xiao Mian, I've already seen it. There's no need to waste time here anymore. Let's go. Xiao Mian nodded, yeah. She came here just to know what Xiao Angzan wanted to say to her before she died. Now, she already knows it all. Xiao Angzan's hatred for her would not diminish even a little bit until the second before her death. But these are no longer important to Xiao Mian. When Xiao Angzan is dead, these things will become even less important. The two of them turned around and walked out. When he walked to the door, he heard Xiao Angzan suddenly yelling at the top of his lungs, Xiao Mian, you will die badly, you will definitely die badly. I will not let you go, even if I am a ghost, I will not let you go, it's yours. Xiao Mian paused for a moment, then continued walking out. Xiao Angzan was still yelling crazily in the ward. Xiao Mian, I hate you, I hate you. Ah, Xiao Mian, you bitch. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2903. Chapter 2903 I have 100% trust in you. Asterisk. Leave the hospital. After getting in the car, Xiao Mian seemed very silent. What's wrong, are you in a bad mood? Mo Yesi sensed her mood and reached out to touch her head, you shouldn't have come here. It's conceivable that a person like her can talk like this. What's good to say? You don't need to pay attention to those words. Are you hungry? I know there is a late-night snack restaurant that tastes good. I will take you to have late-night snacks now. Sensing that Jiao Mian was a little depressed, Mo Yesi coaxed her softly. Jiao Mian turned her head and looked at him. I'm not in a bad mood, and I didn't take Jiao Angzan's words to heart. I also knew a long time ago that she couldn't say anything nice to me. But I think you're in a bad mood. Mo Yesi smoothed the broken hair on her forehead and stared at her with his deep black eyes. I believe my feelings are not wrong. If there is anything you can tell me, don't be alone in your heart. Baby, I'm your husband, there's nothing you can't say to me. Jiao Mian was silent for a while and then said, I didn't expect Jiao Angzan to hate me so much, and I didn't expect that the reason why she hated me was that she thought I deliberately took away the people she liked. I didn't expect any of the people she mentioned. I still remember, but I never tried to it from her. From beginning to end, I didn't do anything. I didn't like her very much since I was a child, but I never thought about deliberately taking away the person she liked. After Jiao Mian finished speaking, she blinked. As if she was afraid that the man in front of her wouldn't believe her, she emphasized every word, Mo Yesi, I really haven't done the things she said. If she hadn't told me today, speaking of which, I don't even know why she hates me. You don't have to explain it to me. The man's slender white fingers gently pressed on her lips, his dark eyes filled with soft light, and he whispered softly, I don't believe a word of what she said. Baby, I said, I have 100% trust in you. I will never doubt you at any time or anything. You have done nothing wrong, so no matter what is the reason why Jiao Angzan hates you, you don't even care. She has a dark psychology and is jealous that you are better than her in everything. Even if you do nothing, you are still wrong in her eyes, and she will never be kind to you. She is entirely to blame for what she is today. Don't think about this anymore, think about something happy. Or what do you want to eat? I will go with you now. You don't like milk tea the most, do you want to buy you a cup now? Mo Yesi tried hard to coax his wife. Milk tea. Jiao Mian's attention was immediately attracted by this, but, it's so late, the milk tea shops should be closed. You can drink it anytime you want. Mo Yesi curled his lips, then now I will take you to buy milk tea, and then we will have supper. After you go back, you can have a good rest and don't think about these things that affect your mood. People and things. I heard that your brother returned to China and brought a woman back with him. Is this true? Huh? You know about this? Who did you listen to? Jiao Mian hadn't told Mo Yesi about the whole thing yet, so she was a little surprised to hear him say this. Xiaoqing told me. He said he took the same flight as your brother when he returned to China and saw it. Well, it's true. Has Xiaoqing told you, what does my brother's girlfriend look like? Does she have long, straight hair, fair skin, and a very elegant appearance? The kind that is gentle and ladylike. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2904. Chapter 2904. What is the final outcome? How do I know this? I'm not interested in asking other women. Can I accompany you back to your parents-in-law's house tomorrow? Jiao Mian thought for a while, nodded and said, okay, let's go back tomorrow. Asterisk. Early the next morning, Jiao Mian got up and received messages from Linda and Jiao Chen. Jiao Angzan is dead. Left at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. Linda, Jiao Angzan is dead. I used to hate her, but now that she is gone, I feel that the past grudges are not important at all. Jiao Chen, sister, Jiao Angzan is dead. After a while, Zhang Luli also sent her a WeChat message. He also told her about Jiao Angzan's death. Jiao Mian looked at the messages sent by several people, holding her phone and staring at the screen for a while. Is Jiao Angzan dead? Although he had known for a long time that Jiao Angzan would only last for one night at most, when he learned of her death, Jiao Mian still felt an indescribable feeling in her heart. It's not sad. She is not the virgin. Although Qiao Angzhen and she grew up together and were usually called elder sister or younger sister, the two had been at odds since childhood. Neither of them liked each other, and neither of them regarded the other as a true sister. On feelings, her relationship with Zhang Luli far surpassed her relationship with Qiao Angzhen. She did not feel sad when Qiao Angzhen died. She just felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Qiao Angzhen has made so many calculations. But what is the outcome in the end? I don't know if she regretted it in the last second before she died. But in this world, there is never any medicine for regrets. The words you have said and the things you have done are like water thrown out and cannot be taken back. Besides, it is probably impossible for a person like Qiao Angzhen to regret it. Not long after, the news of Qiao Angzhen's death was also announced on Weibo. Netizens also had different reactions to this. Some applauded, while others felt sorry for Qiao Angzhen and pitied her. Is Qiao Angzhen really dead? Then I will have a good meal to celebrate. It is a waste of social resources for a harmful person like her to be alive. Death is the most important thing, I think. Even if Qiao Angzhen is a bad person, now that she is dead, netizens should be more merciful. It is her own fault that she must have brought it all upon herself, so she deserves it and does not deserve anyone's sympathy. I saw the news before that she was rescued, and I thought she was fine, but I didn't expect. I would also like to advise all sisters to keep their eyes open when looking for a partner. Some people may seem fine to you, but deep down they may be cold-blooded murderers. Qiao Angzhen's ex-boyfriend is the former Sushi Xiaodong. I really can't see that he is such a cruel person. Asterisk. The other side. Master, the hospital called and said that the woman named Qiao Angzhen is dead. Suzy has already made an explanation according to your wishes and will give him the maximum life sentence. In front of the floor-to-ceiling window, a handsome man in black clothes slowly turned around. His cold eyes glanced at the subordinate standing behind him, and his voice had no warmth. Dead? Yes, dead. Are you sure you're dead? I'm sure, he died at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. He is already dead by now, the subordinate confirmed. The man raised his narrow eyes, stretched out his hand to pull open the black leather chair, and sat down elegantly. Well, you can go out now. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2905. Chapter 2905. Madam is sick again. Master, there is one more thing. The subordinate stood still. After hesitating for a few seconds, he whispered, I called from the palace and said that Madam has been in poor health for the past few days and has been bedridden. A few days. Butler Cheng hopes that the young master can go back to see the madam. He said that the madam is in a very bad mood. He has seen her crying several times when he brought her meals. If the young master can go back to see the madam's illness will be relieved. It will get better faster. Hearing that his mother was sick again, Gong Zili's expression did not change much, and his expression was also indifferent. If you are sick, just see a doctor. I am not a doctor, so I can't cure her disease. Besides, I have nothing to do with the Gong family now. The subordinate was stunned for a moment, then raised his head and glanced at Gong Zili. Seeing that his face was cold and unmoved, he thought for a while and tried to persuade him, Master, Madam, those are just angry words. You are Gong's family. How can the only heir really have nothing to do with the Gong family? I heard what Uncle Cheng said. Madam already regretted it after you packed your luggage and left the Gong family that day. It's just that Madam wants to save face. Even if she regrets it, she can't call you back directly. That's why the palace lady got sick again. Actually, I am really sick. Just letting this matter give Gong Zili a step down and find an excuse to let him go back. She and Gong Zili had a quarrel before, but later she called him back because she was sick, and the relationship between mother and son slowly recovered. This illness is the same as the previous one. She spoke in anger. I didn't. Gongzili's narrow phoenix eyes were half squinted, his dark and deep ink eyes were raised, his cold eyes glanced at his subordinates, and he said lightly, "You talk too much." His voice was very light and there was no emotion in it. But the subordinate's back suddenly felt cold, and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He lowered his head and said in fear, "Yes, young Master Gong, it's me who talks too much." Gongzili's narrow eyes narrowed into a straight line. "Get out. How dare your subordinates say anything?" Immediately turned around and walked out of the office quickly. Without any pause, he disappeared from the office like a gust of wind. After a while, the people in the office slowly closed. Gongzili took out his mobile phone, logged into his WeChat account, and clicked on the only friend in the account's address book, Mian Buruanmen. As usual, he first looked at Chiao Mian's profile picture, then clicked on her WeChat moments and flipped through a group of selfies she had posted recently. The man's eyes were lowered, a dark light flashed in his narrow phoenix eyes, and he looked at the girl in the selfie with a deep look. The girl has bright eyes, white teeth, and delicate facial features. When she smiles, her eyebrows are curved. Seeing her smile makes people feel that all worries are gone. At this moment, even the impetuous heart became calm. "Chiao Mian, I have cleared all the obstacles for you now, you don't have to worry about anyone harming you anymore. Suzy, Chiao Angzan. These dangers lurking around her have now been resolved. Next, he needs to do one more thing. He won't let her suffer any more gossip because of him. He can ignore his own reputation, but he cannot ignore her reputation." Asterisk. There was a knock on the door. Gongzili put down his cell phone and said to the door, "Come in." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2906. Chapter 2906. Is it because of Miss Jiao? After the office door opened, his assistant walked in with a young-looking girl and said respectfully, "Mr. Palace, Miss Su is here." Gongzili raised his eyes and said softly, "Yes." The assistant glanced at the young girl next to him, and then at Gongzili who was sitting on the black leather chair. Without saying anything more, he turned around and left in a sensible manner. The office door closed again. The room was very quiet, no one spoke for a while. About a minute passed. "Mr. Gong, what do you want to see me for?" Susu raised her head and glanced at the handsome man in front of her. When her anxious eyes fell on the man's handsome face that showed no emotion, there was a little more anxiety in his eyes. This is the first time that Gongzili has taken the initiative to look for her. It was his company that asked her to come. Normally, Susu would be very happy. But at this moment, she couldn't be happy. Because before she came, she had roughly guessed the purpose of Gongzili's request for her to come. She knew that sooner or later such a day would come. But there was still a glimmer of hope in her heart that she could change something. But she was delusional after all. Gongzili pointed to the sofa beside him. "Sit." Susu stood there for a few seconds, then walked over and sat down obediently. She put her hands upright on her knees and her sitting posture was upright. She looked very well behaved. In Gongzili's eyes, she is indeed a very well behaved and obedient girl. During the time she stayed with him, she had always been calm and didn't cause him any trouble. So Gongzili felt that as long as she didn't make any excessive demands, he could satisfy her. "I will have the house you live in now be transferred to your name, as well as this card, which contains 10 million, and the password is 6 ones. If you have any other requirements, you can put them forward now, I will try my best to satisfy you." Miyazawuli held a bank card between his slender fingers and placed it in a conspicuous place on the table. Susu sat stiffly for a moment. After a few seconds, she turned around slowly with stiff movements. Her dark eyes, which Gongzili loved so much, were covered with mist. She spoke, with a hint of crying in her soft voice, "Gongzili, don't you want Susu to stay by your side?" Mongzili turned his head and looked at her. "You can make requests. In addition to what I just said, do you want anything else?" Susu's eyes suddenly turned red. Is there something about Susu that is not good enough for young Master Gong to dislike? Young Master Gong can tell Susu, and Susu will change. Even though she knew that such an attempt to stay was of no use, Susu still didn't want to leave. Because she knows it very well. Once she leaves Gongzili, it is basically impossible to see him again in the future. They are two classes of people. If it weren't for her appearance, she wouldn't even have a chance to stay with him. She knew she was a substitute. But she thought, even if it was a substitute, as long as she could stay by his side, she would be satisfied. With such a humble status, what else can she ask for? It has nothing to do with you. Susuchu's pitiful appearance did not arouse the slightest pity from Gongzili. He looked away and said indifferently, "You can make conditions with me now. If you miss this opportunity, there will be no more." Is it because of Miss Jiao? Susu heard that there was no room for change in Gongzili's words. She quickly accepted the reality, stretched out her hand to wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes, and looked at Gongzili with red eyes. Did Mr. Gong let me leave because of Miss Jiao? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2907. Chapter 2907. This is the last time we meet. Susu knew the reason, but still wanted to ask. She still felt unwilling to hear Gongzili say it herself. I don't want to leave like this. As long as it's not because of that person, she can change anything. Gongzili spoke to her before, and although his tone was cold and distant, he still took care of her feelings and was not really too cold. Until she asked the question. As soon as the words Miss Jiao came out of her mouth, Susu immediately felt that the breath on Gongzili's body had suddenly cooled down, and the look in her eyes seemed to have solidified a layer of frost in an instant. At that moment, from a strong chill emanated from his body. Even. What frightened Susu was that she also saw a faint hint of murderous intent in Gongzili's eyes that instantly cooled down. Susu suddenly felt horrified. She opened her eyes wide in fear and said timidly, "Young master, did I say the wrong thing? Don't have any bad thoughts about her, otherwise, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life." Susu's frightened eyes widened even more, and the color on her face suddenly faded. If the murderous intention she felt before could be regarded as her illusion, then in Gongzili's case, after Han Sheng said these words, she was sure that it was not her illusion just now. Gongzili, he really had murderous intention just now. Just because she asked something that she shouldn't have asked. Did he think that he would do something bad to Miss Jiao? Does he actually care about that Miss Jiao to such an extent? Does he just like her? It was also at this moment that Susu knew the importance of her substitute in Gongzili's heart. Thinking that she had ridiculous delusions before, if she had stayed by Gongzili's side obediently, listened to his words, and played the role that a substitute should play, it wouldn't be right. After waiting for a long time, Gongzili will now care a little bit about her. There is a saying that if you keep a dog for a long time, it will also have feelings for it. She has always thought so. But now. She looked at Gongzili's cold and distant narrow phoenix eyes, and she couldn't see anything else except the indifference and coldness in his eyes. The same thing happened when he said the words he sent her to. Her leaving will not have any impact on him. On the contrary, she stayed with him now and became a trouble for him. He suddenly asked her to leave, and Susu couldn't guess the reason. Some time ago, he was involved in a scandal with Miss Jiao, and it was also revealed that he had a substitute like her. He was afraid that if a reporter really discovered her, it would affect Miss Jiao's reputation. After all, I heard that Miss Jiao is already married. Thinking about it this way, Susu felt quite sad. She raised her head and looked at the noble man, with a sad smile on her lips. She suppressed her tears and asked softly, "Young Master Gong, no matter what I do, I can't stay by your side anymore." Gong Zili's eyebrows were still cold. "This is the last time we meet. Keeping her would be a problem. This is a trouble that will cause trouble for Jiao Mian. So, she must go." Susu held back the tears in her eyes and nodded heavily. "Okay, I understand. Do you have any other requests?" Gong Zili has always been very generous to the women who have been with him, even if he has never touched the woman in front of him. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2908. Chapter 2908. My mother is particularly satisfied with her. Susu shook her head. She is not a greedy woman. The severance package given by Gong Zili is already considerable. The house she lives in now is worth at least 30 to 40 million. Coupled with the bank card he gave her, it was enough to make her worry-free for the rest of her life. "Mr. Gong, I have no more requests. But, can I ask you for something?" Susu lowered her head and was silent for a moment, then raised her head and looked at Gong Zili with nostalgia and reluctance in her eyes. Gong Zili met her eyes and narrowed his eyes. "Say. If one day, Master Gong thinks of Susu again and asks Susu to stay with you, Susu is willing to come back to you as soon as possible. I hope Master Gong can give Susu another chance." Gong Zili frowned. Once he sent her away, it was impossible for her to come back. But when he faced the girl's dark eyes full of humble requests, and looked at the eyes that were very similar to hers, he still didn't say the words of rejection after all. Finally, he responded in a perfunctory tone. "This sound is just perfunctory." But the girl's eyes, which had dimmed originally, suddenly lit up like a newly lit fire. Asterisk. Bai Yusheng brought his girlfriend back to China. Bai's father and mother were so happy that they called Chiao Mian and asked her to come over for dinner in the evening. Chiao Mian has not yet seen what her future sister-in-law looks like. However, when Bai's mother called her, she mentioned a few words. It could be heard from her words that they were very satisfied with this future daughter-in-law. He is a steady and dignified person, with a good temperament and good conversation. Your dad also thinks he is a good person. In short, you will know when you come back and see him, and you will definitely like him. So good. Chiao Mian became even more curious after hearing this. It's not that Bai Mu is stingy in her praise. But the person who can make her praise him so much must be the one she is very satisfied with. It's really good. Bai Mu was obviously in a good mood and smiled. "I won't tell you any more. I'm going to cook tonight. I have to go to the kitchen to cook. I made the dishes that you and Yessie like to eat. Come here as soon as possible. By the way, that boy Yessie has always been very discerning, so you can ask him to help you look at people. Can you help me see my future sister-in-law?" Of course, who else could I look at? After a while, Bai Mu was busy cooking and hung up the phone. Mo Yessi changed his clothes and came over. When he walked to Chiao Mian, he put his arms around her waist as usual. "Did your mother-in-law call to remind you?" "No rush, just a few small talk." "Oh, what are you talking about?" "Let's talk about the girlfriend my brother brought back." Chiao Mian thought for a while and said, "My mother was very satisfied with her and praised her. From what I saw, she seemed to have found the right person." "Isn't this good?" Mo Yessi curled his lips and walked out with the person in his arms. "Didn't my mother-in-law always hope that your brother would get married soon? Now she finally brought the person back. It's someone they are satisfied with. I guess she has already brought him back. Treat her like a daughter-in-law. It's pretty good somehow." Xiao Mian thought of the woman who was entangled with Bai Yusheng at the dinner party. With her woman's intuition, she felt that the relationship between Bai Yusheng and that woman was very unusual. If the person I bring back this time is not the woman from that night. Is there something you want to tell me? Mo Yesi glanced down at her and reached out to rub her head. I think you have other opinions on this matter. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2909. Chapter 2909. Women's intuition is still very accurate. It's not that I have other ideas. Xiao Mian thought for a moment, and then said, do you still remember the auction party we went to together that night? Auction party? Mo Yesi thought for a moment and nodded. Yes, I remember. What's wrong? Didn't I see my brother and a very elegant young lady acting ambiguously at the dinner party that day? I always felt that their relationship was unusual, especially the way my brother looked at that young lady. I felt that there must be a story between them. Mo Yesi raised his eyebrows. So? I heard it from my brother last time that the girlfriend he brought back this time should not be the girl from that night. I probably understand. Mo Yesi smiled, with a gentle smile in his deep black eyes. Do you think that the girlfriend your brother brought back this time may not be the one he really likes? Is the woman at the auction that night the one he likes? Xiao Mian pursed her lips, and after a while, nodded. I have thought so. Why does she think so? Perhaps it comes from women's intuition. Many times, women's intuition is quite accurate. Baby, how many men and women do you think can end up getting together because they like each other? Or, how many married men and women get married and start a family because they love each other? Mo Yesi asked with raised lips. Huh? Xiao Mian was stunned for a moment. After she thought seriously for a long time, she shook her head and replied, I don't know. However, I have seen some news statistics before, and it seems, married because of love. Proportion is in the minority. Mostly, it's because they are suitable for each other. Well, this is indeed the reality. Mo Yesi seemed to be analyzing it for her. If nothing else, in our circle, what matters more is the benefits arising from well-matched and strong alliances. Very few people will pursue the so-called of love. Even if there is, if the family background is not equal, the elders in the family will not agree. Even if we fall in love again, in the end, one party will still compromise due to reality. Xiao Mian was stunned for a few more seconds. She raised her head and glanced at the man beside her, then blinked. But you and I, as well as Luoluo and eldest brother, are not together because of interests. That's because my eldest brother and I can live without depending on the family. Therefore, we can refer to the opinions of our elders, but we don't have to listen to them. They can't control what my eldest brother and I are determined to do. So, we can all do anything according to our own will. But such situations are rare in the circle. Most people's marriage matters still have to be arranged by their families. Look, Xiaoqing eats, drinks and has fun all day long. Isn't he very free and unrestrained? But he can't do anything about his marriage. Lord, unless he abandons his current identity and no longer enjoys the superior life brought to him by his family. Xiao Mian bit her lip, but I think the eldest brother can make the decision on his own. And my parents are not picky people, and they don't necessarily require that they be of the right family. Your brother is indeed capable of making his own decisions about his marriage. Mo Yesi agreed with her words, but then added, but the person he wants to choose may not be the one willing to choose him. He likes others and wants others to like him. What's more, many times, even if they like each other, they can't be together for some reasons. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2910. Chapter 2910 Very thick-skinned. Baby. At this point, Mo Yesi paused and reached out to rub Chiao Mianmian's head. Not everyone can be as lucky as us. Your brother is already 30 years old and he is a very thoughtful person. He is a mature man. No matter what his choice is, you don't have to worry about his affairs. It doesn't matter whether he likes his girlfriend or not. It's better for us to stay less involved in other people's feelings. After Mo Yesi finished speaking, he scratched the tip of her nose lovingly with his long and beautiful fingers. If you have any extra, you can focus your time and energy on your husband. Why don't you care more about me? Chiao Mian. She was amused by his slightly resentful tone. Why don't I care about you? You're jealous of Chen Chen, you're jealous of Luo Li, and now you're even jealous of my elder brother. Mo Yesi, I'm jealous now. I have to worry about something. The man's deep dark eyes were full of endearment. What are you worried about? Chiao Mian poked his handsome face with her white and tender fingertips. If we have a baby, you won't even be jealous of the baby, right? She felt that this was entirely possible. There is nothing that Mo Yesi, a very possessive man, cannot do. He is urging her to have a baby every day now. When the baby is really born, her focus will definitely be on the baby for the time being, and she will inevitably neglect him by then. Is he someone who can stand being ignored? Of course not. The man stated his position almost immediately, and he said it nicely. How could I be jealous of my own baby? When we have a baby, I will take good care of him with you. Given his previous performances, Chiao Mian was dubious about his words. You're the one who's clamoring for the baby anyway, so don't complain again that I only care about the baby and not you. Chiao Mian said the ugly words first, lest someone get amnesia and not remember what she said. Mo Yesi is a man who always speaks the truth in the eyes of others. But here, she is very thick-skinned. It is common to turn around and deny the words you have said. Okay. Mo Yesi stretched out his hand to pull the person into his arms, and placed a loving kiss on the pink lips of the little wife in his arms. There was a slight smile in his sultry deep voice. I insist on us. When the time comes, my main task is to take good care of you and the baby. I won't say a word about anything else. Humph, you remember what you said? Chiao Mian poked his chest muscles that felt so good and hummed. The man grabbed her white and tender little hand, put it to his lips and kissed it, smiling lowly. Okay, I remember. Asterisk. The Bai family. Master, young lady, and uncle are back. The maid walked quickly into the hall and reported the news with a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Yesi walked over with Chiao Mian in his arms. Father Bai and Bai Yisheng were sitting in the living room talking. Chiao Mian didn't see Mother Bai, thinking that Mother Bai should be busy in the kitchen at the moment. She looked at other places in the hall and found that apart from Bai Mu's absence, there was one person missing in the hall. She didn't see Bai Yisheng's girlfriend. Dad, brother. Chiao Mian called someone first after approaching. Mo Yesi also called Father Bai. Dad. Father Bai greeted them with a smile. Come and sit. Yusheng and I were just talking about when you would arrive, and they arrived immediately. End of this chapter.